Hello and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. We're going to wrap up this week with a creator request, which is where we highlight a smaller artist. We're looking at the group Sad Serenity today. This comes off of their 2025 album, Tiny Miracles. We're going to be looking at the track titled Torn. Let's dive in and see what Sad Serenity has in store for us today. Oh, okay. It's not in 4 then, is it? This is, though. No, it's not. Okay, I'm gonna stop messing with time. I don't know what they're doing here. I think they're playing over bar lines. I like the harmony there, though. Lots of good energy in this place. There we go. 7-6-7-7. Okay. Alternating 13 and 18 beat phrases. I wonder if I can apply that to the rest. Sick work right here. Jeez. Oh, what a way to pull this into a halftime. Great use of space in those. Dude, the power in the vocals. Alright, so yeah, this chorus also follows the 13-14 alternating? Whatever. I love the power here between the guitars and the belting vocals. The bass and the bass kick are just filling out the low end here. It feels great. Very Haken with those unnatural shifts, syllabic shifts. Ooh. Yeah, we got some electronic drum part.
This is a new mode to be to thrive. Shapes and contours harmonize.
A rare shift to 4/4.
This is a new way.
I like the tension in the treble of the percussion here. It's very chirpy.
This is a
Dude, that or the drum pattern. What a funky accent pattern, dude. And it grooves so hard, though. Ooh, and the tension from the guitars. Just took a dark twist. Oh, interesting schism between the vocal harmonies and the chords underneath. Love that duet. Lots of energy behind the solo. The solo's almost drowned out by everything else. What a huge moment. And see, this guitar part is balanced in the mix, so I really think that swallowing up that duet earlier was the purpose of that moment. I don't remember the beginning of this chorus. Yeah, see, I remember it right. Huh, did I just forget that part then? And the key change, okay. Oh, yeah. It's interesting how mechanical everything sounds here. Now, this is probably going to be a comparison that the band really enjoys, or maybe they won't be too happy about. I don't think there's going to be an in-between. I hope they understand, if they're watching this, that I say this with as much love as I can. But that ending reminded me so much of, was it Deliverance from Opeth? Where they just have this very rhythmic, disjointed, syncopated thing going on at the end of their song, and it just keeps going and going and going, and like the rest of the song's well paced, and then this is just like a time loop. You're just stuck in this section and you're like, okay, I get it, I've heard this a few times, can we wrap the song up? But it just keeps going, and it's kind of a ridiculous rhythmic pattern too. It reminds me a lot of, I really hope the song is Deliverance. If it's not, y'all let me know in the comments. But I remember having a lot of friction with Opeth fans about that ending. because I can't say I was a big fan of it, but I know a lot of people really loved it. So maybe that's a positive for this one. The ending I felt dragged on a bit much, but maybe metal fans will enjoy that. I'm not always the target. Well, let me rephrase that. I'm rarely the target audience of a lot of metal. So, my opinion, I don't think my subjective take on things is always the best to go by. But yeah, I mean, kind of going along with the comparisons though, there is plenty of Haken and Between the Buried and Me in this as well. And at least I think I can see where the influences are with this group, but they also take those influences and transform them into their own thing. And I really like how not a bit of this really feels like they are emulating these other bands. They're just being influenced by them. Everything in here sounds Sad Serenity to me. And I think that's the best thing you can do as, especially in progressive metal, but anytime you're getting into, making your music and stuff like that, you're going to have influences. It's kind of impossible not to. I know there's a whole outsider music, outsider artist kind of thing. But I think for most people who get into music, they're going to get into it because they like music already. They're going to have things that have influenced them. It's going to determine what kind of music they want to make. You're going to end up sounding like the things that influence you. But I think right here, while I can hear the influences, it's a good thing that I see this definitively as Sad Serenity and not just somebody pretending to be Haken, for instance, or Dream Theater or something like that. So solid work here all around. A couple of things I want to touch on. General growth and evolution of this track. I think this is really interesting because where I felt the parallels being drawn to other bands changed over the course of this. And a lot of that came through the styles of music being played and the sorts of feelings and emotions and energies that are on display throughout this track. We start off in stuff that's a bit lighter, maybe closer to a progressive heavy metal than anything else. But I mean, there at the end, we are in solid gent area, something akin to Opeth, or maybe even a very light Meshuggah. Very light Meshuggah. And I really like this journey that takes us from the big belted vibrato vocals, and the powerful triumphant energies in the music, not necessarily power metal, but the really big heavy metal stuff. And by the end of the track, we're in modern progressive metal. And it's not just like a pendulum swing. This is something that I picked up around halfway into the track. And I noticed we had been gradually evolving the sound. Every section is cleanly and clearly evolved from where we came from. We're not just randomly jumping into new ideas. We're taking a sound, modifying it, changing the shape of it, the sound of it, the flavor of it, altering rhythmic elements to it, and taking that and evolving it into the next idea, which is going to be molded and shaped into the next idea, and so forth until we get to that rhythmic outro. It is a fantastic journey to be on, and I absolutely loved the general growth across this track. We also explore themes that are altered through this same way. Like I mentioned, the beginning feels very triumphant to me. There's lots of big, powerful notes. It feels like someone just belting out about positivity or completing stuff. I don't know what the lyrics are yet, but it's very optimistic. And towards the middle of the track, we begin to push into tension, dissonance, even slight dissonance in places. There's heavier, moodier vibes. There is straight up darkness in places, but it's more alluded to. And by the end of the song, we just have these grinding gears. Like I said, the ending sounds very metallic to me. No, I think the word I said was mechanical. And it does. It's very tight and precise. Whereas the rest of the track kind of had a looseness to it. Not necessarily that, the pitches weren't perfect or the timing wasn't perfect. No, the performance is, I didn't hear any blemishes in the performance at all. but there's a vague looseness to it all. There's freedom. It's not strict and specific. It's well rehearsed and composed and performed. By the end, though, they sound like a clock. And I know there's a couple of like clockwork things going on in here. So I don't know if that's influencing my imagery here, but it is just precise and rigid by the time we get to the end of the track. And it's just not that at the beginning. There's a lot of fluidity to it. So I think that there is this general evolution on multiple layers across this track. And I'd love to get more into that. I hope the lyrics are going to give me a little bit of insight into what's going on here. But I was absolutely on board for the thematic themes. Good job with words, Bryan. The themes that are explored throughout this track and how they're all connected. I think that's really what stands out to me is, again, not like old school Between the Buried and Me, where you're just jumping between different ideas. There is that fluidity, that natural evolution where the song feels like a cohesive whole that changes over time. And I'm a huge fan of that. Y'all know that. Now, production's really interesting on this too, because it also evolves over time. At the beginning, it's a very treble heavy song. The bass kick and the bass guitar do have some nice punchiness to it, but they're there to sort of fill in the lower end. They're not there to dominate or anything like that. Around the middle of the track, though, the drums and the bass guitar begin to envelop everything else. This was about the time that we got the guitar duet. And it started out strong, but the rhythm section just kind of came over and devoured it. And then there was this low end thing over here. I don't know if it was brass or like a cello. I didn't really get a good listen on the timbre of it, but it is a more orchestral instrument and it's large and low. I'm coming in with like a wah, which I guess is very brassy, but I don't know, man. It could have been a bowed instrument. And that was loud too, though. And it's just coming in and devouring these two instruments. And then we enter into some darker sounds harmonically, and we bring back a guitar solo. And this is just like, this is a metal solo right here. It's got bite, it's got distortion, it's got aggression. This is nothing like the guitar tone at the beginning of the track, which was a little lighter, a little smoother. Powerful, sure, distorted, yeah, but not like this. This has bite, this has attitude. And from here out, man, the bass end of this song is just starting to take over. And some of this may be EQing, maybe the production side of things, but I also think that the guitars have generally started to focus from higher pitches to lower ones, shifting away from that heavy metal sound into a more modern metal sound, which has introduced, lower strings and down tuning and stuff like this, really going for lower tones in general. I don't know if they're actually doing any of that here, but it definitely begins to focus on lower notes than previously. And so I guess even on this element, it's about the evolution, this tale of going on this journey with this track. I think that's phenomenal. The time signature, meter in general, I think I figured it out, alternating 7/6, 7/7. So we have 13 and 14. And I found that worked in the chorus. And was it the second verse that I figured that out in? So I'm going to assume that it also applies to the first verse and the intro, because I was close to a 7 in there, but something was throwing me off. And I think it is that second bar being 6, but not the fourth one. It isn't that perfect alternation of 7 and 6. And it's definitely a bit tougher to figure out. But I do think that comprises most of this track, except for the 4/4 that we have in the middle of the song. I completely forgot about this, like a whole electronic section. This was a really cool moment to sort of do a tonal shift on the track and allow the song to build up from a new starting point. But the guitar solo was over 4/4, the duet was over 4/4. A lot of this was over 4/4 here in the middle. It's interesting because it creates a sense of stability before breaking it again. Now, here's the thing. I never picked up the full time signature in the outro riff. But if I was a betting man, I'd probably put money down that the outro's in 4/4 as well, because it works with these themes of complexity being simplified and then the simplification being broken. That it is 4/4, but just a really aggressive type of 4/4 that pushes the boundaries of common time to its limits. Something that, now that I think about it, both Opeth in that Deliverance track, if I remember correctly, and Meshuggah, which I related this outro riff to earlier, both do. It's in 4/4, but boy, does it not sound like 4/4. And I'd wager that's what's going on there as well. And like I said, it kind of fits thematically too. I might go back and listen to that real quick though when I pause for lyrics and see if I can't confirm that real quick. But yeah, the time signature is, oh dude, there's also the Haken thing that was going on too in the bridge. It was part of the 4/4 section, but it's a bum bum bum, and it's just like these very sharp, unnatural shifts in not just pitch but also syllables in the vocals too. I don't know what time signature that was in. That was a rough section metrically for me. I can kind of, I can pick out the offbeat accents through it. I could probably figure out the time signature if I wanted to, but I'm going to leave it at that and let them have some of their secrets. Yeah, dude, the time signature is just bonkers all over this place. But also, again, clockwork. Time is very important to the music video, at least. So I'm curious what all of this represents in the larger idea here. It doesn't seem like they're just making a song that is metrically convoluted. It seems to have some deeper thematic element to it. To wrap this up, every section sounded pretty cool. I don't think there was a single portion of this track where I thought to myself, it doesn't really stand up to the rest. The ending, even though I wasn't a fan of the length of it, is still a solid riff. So even the part that I was least enthusiastic about, I can still admit was pretty cool. The drum work in here is absolutely sick. The bass work sounds excellent, and I love the bass getting to do some extra runs. Assuming I heard that right, it sounded like they were playing what the guitar was playing in some of the more technical places to get this octave movement between the two. The guitars, dude, excellent. The riffs all over this track are great. The solos were great. The vocals has a lot of range, moving from that more open throat, vibrato, powerful sound into the more forward-placed grit that we saw at the end of the track, bringing in a darkness and an aggression to the vocals. Love that movement across this track. I think there's either a synth or there's some engineering stuff added in post. Either way, I love all the little touches that go on that help support this track outside of the rock instrumentation. It's just a great song all over, and I really hope that some of y'all who really enjoy progressive metal have checked this video out, and I hope you enjoyed this, dude. If you did, go check out some more Sad Serenity. I know I'm going to. This album isn't, well, it's 6 tracks, but it's 71 minutes. They have a 23-minute song. That certainly is an uneven balance of time there. Yeah, it's only 6 tracks. That's a short album, right? Over an hour long. These progressive metal albums, dude. I'm probably going to check it out though because I enjoyed this track. Let me hit up some lyrics, see what's going on there. All right, we have a really cool track lyrically that is about someone who absolutely ran themselves ragged. Anxiety, pressures, expectations of the self, and it really brought them down to a low that they came out of, risen like a phoenix to find that they're stronger on the other side, having seen what wasn't working previously and then taking the steps to ensure that their life is more balanced coming out of the end of this track. The beginning has a hyper focus on time. It says tick tock tick. A chemical cascade keeps flushing step by step. My senses are rushing, melting, drowning, blushing, facing fight or flight. Fear takes over. Hostage, agitated, drover. Tick tock tick, relentless turning hand. The burdens of a hyper alert brain. It is hyper focusing on the individual seconds of a clock and feeling as if every second is even longer than it is, the weight of having time passed where nothing happened, and being overwhelmed almost by this lack of engagement, lack of doing things. He says that he feels that he's a hostage to time itself. The first chorus says, I'm crashing hard, trying to find my way up. I'm burning candles from both ends. Not even just burning candles, but I keep burning candles from both ends. I'm not learning my lesson about this. I'm working in overdrive, wearing myself out, wondering why I'm so tired, and the next day I do the same thing again. Verse 2 and 3 just talks about being on high alert, calling it an alertness overdose, saying that his mind is clouded, that there's cortex burn, which I think is a very cool phrase right there. It also says that he lies numb while also overwhelmed, that he feels empty and restless, but not calm at all. It talks about the paradox of this, of having so much energy or having not enough energy that you feel drained, but enough energy that you can feel overwhelmed, and the paradox of that. The bridge then is the rebirth. It says, this is my new mode. It's to thrive. This is my new way, which is to antagonize, to revitalize. This is a new precipice, but dazzling bright. There's clarity and confidence. It says, this is the new me, a radiant light. The pieces are falling into place, this hyper flight. It says, I'm estranging myself from the herd, clinging to being right. And so we actually get to see a shift in the chorus. Not only do we have a double chorus, which we're going to have the key change in the second part, but we're also altering the lyrics here to say a different thing. It says, rising high provoked the fall. I've been torn apart and taught me the price I have to pay, a vital toll so obvious. No more deaf ears. I'm allowing the tide to turn and envisioning who I want to be. I've been torn apart and it showed me the road I have to take. Basically says, by being so low, by having so much anxiety, I know exactly where I don't want to be anymore. That has shined a light on the direction I need to take, the path I need to go on in order to achieve what I want out of life. I love that. It's really interesting, though, that I find my musical journey to be the inverse, going from empowering to darkness, whereas the journey of the lyrics is overwhelmed and alone in darkness into triumph and rebirth, even saying at one of the lines about lighting a path and becoming a radiant light. So I might have to go back and listen to this again with the lyrics in mind and see if maybe I was just getting some cues from the music that with the lyrics might say something else. But I do find it interesting that I had like the inverse there. But it is, once again, a really cool evolution of ideas, especially with the chorus. There's so many reused phrases from the first chorus to the last, but with new words thrown in there to change the meaning of it. So yeah, dude, I enjoy this a lot. I'm going to definitely check out their album, which is called Tiny Miracles. Came out back in July, but I mean, that's still new to me. That's still this year. These are just my thoughts, though, on Sad Serenity's Torn. What did you think? Did you enjoy this? Is there anything that stood out to you? Anything that you would like to add on to what I said or correct me on? Do you have your own take, opinion, or perspective on this track? Please put all of that, as well as anything else you'd like to add to the conversation, into the comment section below. Above that, in the description box, you'll find a link to Linktree. Takes you here. You can find links to my music, ways to support the channel, a link to the Discord server, and so much more. You'll also find links to Sad Serenity, their streaming platforms, websites, social media, whatever I can find. If you're interested in connecting with them or listening to their music, you'll probably find a link for that in the description box. Above that, above the description box, if you could, like, subscribe, ring the bell. If you head on over to any of their places, like, thumbs up, heart, star, subscribe, whatever it is, show them some love from the Critical Reactions community. Until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you choose to watch my videos.